a front row seat to the untold stories as we talk about how to live life on your terms. You're officially part of the inner circle. Welcome to Courtside with Courtney. And don't worry, I comped your ticket. Welcome back to another episode of Courtside with Courtney. Today, I want to do a chatty episode where we just sort of like sit down, hang out, kind of like a get ready with me or grab a coffee, grab a matcha without the makeup coffee or matcha. You know, I probably have salad in my teeth right now because I just finished eating a salad in a poke bowl, but here we are. So if I do, just pretend like you don't see it, you know? Okay. So I was in Nashville 2 weekends ago and it was so much fun. I got to go and be a part of CMA Fest with Dibs and it was just awesome. I got to meet a lot of you guys. I got to see a lot of my other favorite influencer girlies and people that I hadn't seen in so long and just chat, like hang out and chat, honestly. Sarah and Holly and I stayed up until I think 2:30 in the morning talking in my room. And it was awesome to catch up. And I quite literally had to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to catch my flight. Okay. So I was like literally flying home that same morning. And I realized that it was 2:30. I needed to wake up at 4:30. And I thought I have got to get my ass to bed because I'm going to be up in 2 hours from now. I was walking around the airport just like no one was home, just like semi-cross-eyed trying to find my flight. I did make it to my flight, luckily, in sleep. But I would like to go on record to say 2 hours of sleep is not enough to be a functioning human. It was worth it though, because we had like the best conversations. All the concerts were so good. It was a really good trip. It was kind of surreal. I feel like whenever we get to do really cool, amazing things with Dibs, it feels surreal at this point for some reason. It almost like still hasn't caught up to me. Or like whenever I meet you guys out and the first thing everybody says to me is either, oh my gosh, I follow you on TikTok, or I'm wearing Dibs right now. I love Dibs. It's my favorite. And it's like the best thing to hear. But it's so surreal to me because I'm looking at people. I'm like, whoa, like that's crazy. I made this thing and then it's like you're wearing it on your face now. Like, I don't know. It just hasn't sunk in a weird way for me. I don't know how else to describe that. And then I flew home on the day of my dad's passing anniversary 6 years ago. That same week, it was Entrepreneur of the Year via Ernst & Young, which is a whole story that I told on Instagram the other day. But my dad was Entrepreneur of the Year, and I think in the 90s. And then he sat on the board of judges for years in Austin. It was like very integral to everything. But my dad went by a different last name for business. And so when Jeff and I got nominated via Dibs, nobody had any idea. Like nobody, I mean, obviously my dad died 6 years ago, but regardless, nobody had any ideas or point of connection because I go by my middle name. And so just no one knew. And it was the craziest God thing because I got to feel so connected to him all week, which was honestly awesome. But it was wild, like being in that room. It's like I grew up it was held at a different place, but like metaphorically in that room, I grew up admiring all these people, all these entrepreneurs. And then to be sitting there as a peer to these people was just mind blowing. I mean, people were literally sitting in there who cured cancer. And I was sitting there like, hi, I just make bronzer, but I'm really glad that I'm here. Thank you. It ended up being awesome. Someone DM'd me something really funny that stuck with me. And they said, you might not be doing chemotherapy, but you are doing some kind of therapy. And I thought, you know what? You're right. Like feeling beautiful and confident, like helping women feel good and like creating these products that people love and enjoy on their daily basis is absolutely a form of therapy. We're not saving lives, but like kind of confidence, you know, like, I don't know. It's just so different, but I was mind blown. I was sitting in a room with people who made, robots that were walking around hospitals, quite literally curing cancer, making like all the trucks in America. And I was so like, are you guys sure? But it was awesome. And it was really, I felt so grateful to like be in that room with all of those amazing entrepreneurs and people. And yeah, just to be here in that group was so cool. I will say this is like a point to women in business. I think there was like 4 women there out of 40 something people, not women in totality, but like people that were nominated. So I was very happy to be up there repping the girls. But this like older man walked by me at one point and he was like, you can put your drink on my tab. And I was like, sir, how about you put your drink on my tab? Like it kind of fired me up. And then he saw that I got nominated. I walked on stage and afterwards he was like, oh, you're such a beautiful representation of your company. And I was like, yeah, thanks. her. But just, I mean, being a woman in any workplace is obviously an interesting endeavor, but it was just so cool to be there. Such a full circle moment, such an honor. We didn't win, but it was like really worth it being there, and just being a good company, like made you feel like good about not winning. Cause you're just like, dang, like, oh, the Vital Farms guy was there. Like there's just so many really cool entrepreneurs. It was definitely an honor to be there. But lately I've been thinking all about lots of topics I just want to touch on and have like a little catch up with you guys. People ask me frequently how I've instilled such confidence in Kinsley, because whenever people meet her, I mean, she's so smart. She's brilliant. She's grounded. She's confident as hell. She rocks it all the time. Like she's just got like it girl energy. And I think a couple of things I did to instill in her that I would suggest if people are looking to instill confidence in their kids at a young age. Obviously, I'm not an expert, but I'm a mom, and this is what's really worked well for me, has been talking to her from a very young age about everything. So it started out little things. This is advice that Liz gave me. So I would be in the kitchen making something to eat, and I will tell her what I'm making. Oh, I'm cutting an apple right now. It's a crispy green apple. Even when she's like 6 months old and she's strapped to my body, I'm like, it's a crispy green apple. And just because she starts to hear that, and then she's learning these words slowly. And so I always spoke a lot around her, even when she couldn't speak back. So just talking to her from a young age, and then also not hiding my emotions from her, allowing her to see me have an emotion and process it. I think has been really big for her emotional intelligence as well. I'll never forget in my car at one point I was driving, and I was kind of sad because this was like a couple of years ago, and I felt excluded in this situation that I was in. And I felt like people weren't including me. And I like, my feelings were hurt, honestly. And Kinsley was sitting in the back seat, and she was like, Mom, are you okay? You seem sad. And instead of being like, oh yeah, like I'm great. Like instead of brushing it under the rug, because I think so much of our parents' generation is all very like, oh yeah, everything's good. Smile, brush it under the rug. I really wanted to teach her emotional maturity and have those conversations with her. So instead of saying, oh yeah, I'm totally fine, everything's great, I just said, you know what, babe, my feelings are a little bit hurt right now. And she's like, oh, okay. Like, why are your feelings hurt? So now she's learning to ask me those questions as well. So she's like, Mom, why are your feelings hurt? And I say, I had a couple of friends that left me out of this situation, and I just felt hurt and I felt excluded. And then that opens up different conversations. Oh, what does excluded mean? Oh, it's when people leave you out. So you sort of go down this rabbit hole. But then she said the most beautiful thing to me, and I'll never forget it. She said, well, Mom, at the end of the day, you're so kind and a good person, and all you can do is go and be kind and a good person, and you be nice to them, and you hope that one day they'll be nice to you back. And it was this mind-blowing moment. Like she just gets it. And obviously it's her listening and us having had those conversations previously too. But I think that she has matured a lot. And she's a kid, she's 6, but she has the emotional maturity because we do talk about things and we talk through things. And even when she says, oh, like, why aren't you and Dad married anymore? She really doesn't ask that now, but like when she was a little bit younger, and it's kind of like, you know, like me and Dad were better as friends. We didn't work out in that way or whatever. Instead of just brushing the question off, brushing it under the rug, not giving her an answer. It's like, I obviously wouldn't give her the full expansive answer on that one, but you get what I'm saying. For the most part, I think it's about not being afraid to have a conversation with them and not shying away from it. I also started doing affirmations with her when she was very little, maybe 1 year old. Before she could really say much of any of this, I was doing affirmations with her because I found that she's so beautiful, that people would constantly say, she's so beautiful. She's so beautiful. She's so pretty. She's so cute. And as much as people meant that as a compliment, I used to downright piss me off when I was like going through that, because I would just sit there being like, she is so beautiful, but she's smart and she's funny and she's kind and she's athletic and she's all these other things. She's creative. She's artistic. She's so much more than just being pretty. At the end of the day, that's how our society has sort of learned to value women. And with a little boy, they see a little boy and they'll say, oh, he's so athletic. They're complimenting him on like an attribute to a degree. With the girls, oh, she's so pretty. It's like, yeah, she's pretty, but she's also cool and funny and smart and kind and interesting and creative and artistic and athletic and all these other things too. So I wanted to instill in her from a young age that she was also all those other things. So that when she heard someone say, oh, you're so cute, you're so pretty, she didn't think that was the end all be all, and she didn't learn to value herself that way. But she instead learned that being all those other things is actually what's cool and important. Being pretty is great too, but being all those other things is like really what she should be proud of, and brave and all these things. Right. And so I started that by literally putting her in front of a mirror, and I would say, I'm kind, I'm brave, I'm smart, I'm funny, I'm a good friend, I'm interesting, I'm unique, like whatever, right? Like I could just rattle them off. I think even as an adult right now, like ask yourself, could you sit down and give yourself like 20 affirmations just on the spot? If you can't, you probably need to work on that, because there should be at any given point where you can just kind of be like, yeah, I'm brave, I'm kind, I'm interesting, I'm successful, I add value to people's lives, like whatever, right? Like you could really niche it down and get specific about it. But I really put her in front of a mirror, and every single morning it was her saying those things back to herself. And it made a big difference. I've also tried to instill things in her that like I noticed people say to other people growing up, like, oh, you're weird, or you're different, or whatever. And I want her to think like being different is cool, because it is. Who wants to be like everybody else? Like that sounds so boring to me. You can miss me with that shit. But for me, at the end of the day, so now when someone says to her, I'll say being different is, and she'll say, cool. So when someone comes and says like, oh, you're so different, she's going to be like, yeah, thanks. So it's just like about creating and molding her mind from a young age to value certain things and put her identity in certain things, like her relationship with her family and her relationship with God and her relationship with herself, not just like, what do other people think of you? Because honestly, isn't that just like the biggest crock of shit of our whole generation? Like, who cares, you know? So I think that was major. She's also really tall. And so for me, I had like really dark hair. I was tan. I had a low-key mustache that I bleached instead of shaved. And people will tease me for that. It's like, yeah, I obviously wish I just shaved my mustache. Shout out Liz. I'm still a little salty about it. But to the point of where Kinsley's going to be really tall. So then when someone says to her, like, you're really tall, I have now told her, hey, being tall is, and she'll be like, awesome. So again, if someone tries to say anything like that to her in a negative way, it's like, you're tall. Yeah, awesome. Like, thank you. You're different. Thank you. Like all these things, she's just going to be like, oh my gosh, thanks. Like, she's not going to take it negative if that's how they mean it. She also came to me, and I've told this story before on the podcast, but it is really relevant here. At one point when in preschool, and someone had said to her, because the reality is like, Kinsley is loved. She's very adored. She's like the little it girl of her class. And I love it because she's so kind. I think growing up, like there were people that were sometimes the most popular people. They weren't the nicest people. They weren't the kindest people. She's the nicest and the kindest, and people love her for that. And I think that's such a cool thing to see. And I hope things, stay that way where kindness is valued. But as she said to me when she was little, this little shit came up to her in class one day and was like, I don't like you. It's like, where do you learn that? You learn it from your parents. And so be mindful of how you speak around your kids. Obviously they repeat that. And if you're shitty, they're going to be shitty. Like that's just the reality of it. And this little kid came to her and she said, I don't like you. And Kinsley came back to me and she was really upset and she was hurt. Her feelings were hurt about it. And I remember her saying like, well, Mom, what do you think? And I just remember trying to explain to her that we don't value or hold our value for our own selves and how other people think of us. Kind of doesn't matter what that little girl thinks. And if she doesn't like you, that's okay. And so we came up with this saying. So now if someone says, I don't like you, and this is honest to God, this is applicable to adults too. If someone says, I don't like you, I just love what her and I came up with. And it's just essentially this. It says, okay, well, I like me. So I guess that's on you. Cause it's like you are coming to me and you're saying something negative, not constructive, just mean, negative. I don't like you. Okay, cool. I like me. I guess that's on you. Like that's your own problem. That's your issue. Cause it always is, right? If someone doesn't like you and that's all they have to say, they don't have a reason. They don't have anything constructive. It's not, hey, you said this, it bothered me, or we don't align here. It's just, I don't like you. Or when girls are like, ugh, that girl's a lot. Again, are they a lot or are you just not enough? Are they a lot or are they just confident and you're insecure and that makes you uncomfortable? Because say it for what it really is, say it with your chest. So if someone doesn't like you, to me, the response is simply that. It's simply, okay, I like me. So I guess that's on you. You don't need to like me. I don't need you to like me. I think the sooner in your life you can instill the thought of, I don't need you to like me, life gets exponentially better and easier. You stop trying to convince people to like you, whether that's guys in a relationship, whether that's, honestly, anybody. It can be friends, men, strangers, your family, like whoever. I don't need you to like me. I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to be kind and I'm going to do my best and I'm going to be the best version of myself. And if that works for you and you get it and you like it, amazing. We can be in each other's lives. If you don't, and that doesn't work for you or it makes you feel some type of way about yourself, we don't need to be in each other's lives. So I think teaching that and instilling it from a young age has been really big as well. So don't value the right things about yourself, be confident in that way, getting ahead of things in the future. Oh, I always also teach her to advocate for herself. That's big. I always say we need to what for ourselves. And she'll say advocate, because she was at school one day a couple of months ago and she had a substitute teacher. She had the flu. Obviously, I had no idea she had the flu. She started feeling crappy middle of the day and kind of middle to the end of the day. And she had asked her teacher if she could go to her substitute teacher, if she could go to the nurse. The teacher said no. And Kenzie's like, I really don't feel good, which obviously as a mom, pissed me off. As a mama bear, I'm like, you did what? You didn't let her go to the nurse? excuse me. But she's here telling me the story. And so the lesson was advocate for yourself. It's not just, can I go to the nurse? No, it's no, I need to go to the nurse. And you can do it in a way where you're respecting people, but I really don't feel good. I feel sick. I feel warm. I need to go to the nurse. Advocate for yourself a little bit more. Don't just take the first yes or the first no. Really make sure that you're advocating for yourself. At the end of the day, I miss my mom. I want to talk to my mom. I don't feel good. I need to go to the nurse. These shoes are uncomfortable. I don't want to wear them. Speak up for yourself and learn to do that in a kind and respectful way. But really advocating for yourself, I think, is so huge at any age. My last thing is I never say just because. Whenever Kinsley says, can I do this? Can I have more time on my iPad? And I'm not a big iPad and screen person with her. I'll say, no. She'll say, okay, why? And I'll say, because I already gave you 15 minutes on the iPad. I want you to do something creative. I want you to get outside. Let's go play. Let's do art. That was enough iPad time for your brain for today. Let's go do something else that we can do that's creative, that's fun together. I want to say just because. Or, Mom, can we go swimming? And it's 5:00. No. Okay. And obviously I say yes to her a lot, but I'm just giving you no examples. Okay. No. Well, why not? It's never just because. It's, well, babe, it's 5:00 and we're going to need to start making dinner in about 45 minutes. And then she understands every time. Because again, it's using this brain, this muscle in her brain that's oh, emotional intelligence. Oh, okay. You explained it to me because kids are people. They're little people. So it's oh, okay. That makes sense. It doesn't make sense to drive 10 minutes to my mom's house to get in the pool for 10 minutes to come back for 10 minutes. That doesn't make sense. And if you explain it to them, they understand that typically. But saying things just because is frustrating for kids, because even as an adult, if someone said that to me, I'd be because why? What do you mean? So I think explaining it has opened up dialogues for us and it allowed her to also understand where I'm coming from. And then that also stops those questions in the future. Oh, can we go to the pool? No, babe, it's 5:00. We're going to start cooking dinner soon. And she already knows. Oh, okay. Let's go a little earlier. Let's go tomorrow. Oh, okay. Sounds good. So making those compromises too. So I think those are things that have really helped me as a mom and helped Kinsley and helped us have a really good relationship where I feel we talk about anything. I always tell her to tell me anything, especially if someone ever tells you don't tell mom, you come and tell me immediately, because it's usually a red flag. So we talk about that a lot. And I think it's helped us have a really open relationship and open dialogues that I think will serve us later down the line. And she knows whether someone's mean to her, someone does something, whatever it is, she can always come to me and I will help her find a solution and we'll tackle it together. And I think that's been really big. So that's my little parenting spiel. And green and red flags that I look for in a relationship. This is something that I've been wanting to share and talk about too, because look, at the end of the day, everyone is looking for different things out of relationships. Everyone wants something different and someone different. And we all should, because we are all different and we all have unique traits and things about us. And your fit isn't going to be my fit and my fit isn't going to be yours. And we all have our people, our person. But at the end of the day, I do think that there are universal green flags and red flags that pretty much everybody should be looking for in terms of knowing if someone is going to be a good fit for you across the board. Let's get into it. I don't have these planned. It's just something that I have been wanting to talk about. So I feel like we're just going to kind of go off rip here. I think green flags, someone that is secure in who they are. Very important. Green flags, someone that is into growth and is willing to grow with you and have those dialogues and wants to see you succeed. Someone that wants to see you win is so important, whether it's in a friendship, in a romantic relationship. If they are not proud of you on your team and want to see you win, you better cut their ass and quick, because it will be detrimental, I promise. If you feel that competition and competitive, sort of negative, jealous energy from a partner, it's always going to go jealous of you. I mean, not other people. Like if you don't have that kind, like uplifting, I want to see you win thing within your relationship, it doesn't just grow. I think you have to enter it into the relationship wanting to see somebody to win. Kindness goes a long way. Now, let me bifurcate between being kind and being nice. Being nice is completely different. That's more like a personality genre, we'll call it. Being kind is a core value of who you are. I may be able to tell you something in a straightforward way and still be kind, and maybe the comment isn't nice per se, and vice versa. So someone that is kind-hearted, someone that was raised well, hot take, I think that this matters. I think you can have had a lot of childhood struggle and be a really good person still, because you can choose a different route. If you don't feel like you had support growing up, you could still be the most amazing person in the world. You just have to have chosen that for yourself, because it wasn't just given to you. And I think that can make you even stronger, right? But I think having those open dialogues about what someone's family life was like growing up is really important. Someone that has a hobby and friends, green flags all around. I don't think you need 80 hobbies, but like, are they into fitness? Do they read? Do they do anything creative? Do they play a sport? Do they sing? I don't know. Like, I don't care what you do, what your hobby is. Are they into gardening? Like, just do something outside of yourself and your job. I think that's really important. People who are down to learn and listen, good listeners, people who are willing to take constructive feedback. I think one of the most important things in a relationship is conversation. Conversation and ability to communicate with your person, because you go from doing this to doing this when you do that. You go from having like, here's my point of view, here's your point of view. Let's just bang into each other essentially until one of us gives up and decides to, let this one thing happen. Or you have this, which is a meshing of two people coming together, because you have to take a conversation and a communication further to comprehension. It's not enough just to have a conversation with someone if they don't understand. If they don't understand your point of view, or they can't put themselves in your shoes and you can't put yourself in theirs. If you can't sit back and take constructive criticism and constructive feedback and put that into reality and into work, into play, then you're never going to get anywhere. If they don't understand your point of view and where you're coming from, they don't have to agree with it. But if they're not willing to sit back and understand it and listen and comprehend it, it's going to be really hard to make that change moving forward. I do think there's a world in which you don't agree with someone and they may say, I'm never going to feel the same way that you feel about this. But the caveat here and the key is they have to then say, and again, vice versa, obviously, they have to then say, I might not agree with you, or this one thing isn't personally important to me, but because it's important to you, it is important to me. So even if I don't understand necessarily why you feel a certain way, or I don't agree, I have to have the understanding enough to say, I will still make that concession or make that compromise, or we can work together to find something that works for both of us. Because even though that's not important to me, I see that it's important to you. And because of that, it does matter to me. I need to give a shit. At the end of the day, you have to give a shit about what your partner gives a shit about. You just do. Like, you have to care that your partner, okay, like take the age old a guy who's like out here following girls on Instagram. They might think that's mindless. If your partner cares about that, it has to matter to you, because you're inadvertently hurting their feelings otherwise, intentionally or unintentionally. And so Whether it's something silly like the amount of time we spend with our friends, like one person really wants more, one person really wants less. The date nights we go on, one person wants more, one person doesn't need that. The like having a show together, one person, they really want that. One person could not give a shit less. Like whatever it is, communication. One person loves FaceTimes, one person does not matter to them at all. Like whatever those things are, you don't have to agree. You just have to say, FaceTimes aren't important to me. I hear they're important to you. Let's do it twice a week. Sounds good. We're not going to do it 7 days a week, but let's do it one or whatever, right? Like these are sort of trivial examples, but I think at the end of the day, you have to value what your partner values as long as it's reasonable, obviously, if you want to be able to like be on the same page. So having someone that you can not only converse and have conversations with and confide in, but that they comprehend what you're saying too, which is why it's important to pick somebody that's smart, has a little bit of that emotional intelligence, because we've all dated people that like, they're just not getting it. And you just want to look at them and be like, the math isn't mathing. Like you feel like you're talking like this to people. Other green flags in dating. Someone who's respectful of strangers. I would say like waiters, waitresses, random people working places, like the people that are hella disrespectful to people in the service industry, like A, could not be a bigger ick, but B, typically a bad sign. If someone walks up and they're really rude to your waiter, typically a bad sign, you know? Other green flags, people who are hardworking, people who have passion about things, people who I personally like someone that is passionate, but that is a little bit more even keel, because I can be like more all over the place. So I want somebody that feels grounding for me. Someone that's respectful, someone that like, these are all just universal green flags to look for. I guess we can get into red flags. We've got a lot of these too. People who isolate you, people who love bomb you. Look, I think like love at first sight can be real. I think you can meet someone in 2 months in, 3 months in, and be like, this is my person. I definitely think that's 100% real. That's not what I mean. What I mean is like constantly giving you things, like constantly traveling, gifts, like showering you with so much stuff that you almost don't even like open your eyes long enough to see what's going on in the relationship. Constantly just like throwing things at you, whether they're material or talking to you 9 bajillion times a day. I always say a relationship to be healthy needs to have consistency, but consistency is not the same thing as constant. Consistent and constant are not the same things. Let me repeat myself. Being consistent is not the same thing as being constant. Being consistent means you show up, you are consistently there for someone, and that person now can trust you and sit back. And if you're like a woman, for example, you can sit back and be in your feminine about knowing the person. The guy will text you, you'll talk, it's going to be good. It's all okay. No need to have anxiety surrounding it. That is not the same thing as constant. I don't need to hear that you just took a shit, what you had for lunch, and what like the person next to you just said, and that you're listening to this song on the radio now. You just stubbed your toe and now you're walking in and you really thought you're going to have this for dinner. Like it's too much, you know, catch up obviously at night at the end of the day, talk, but people that need to tell you every single detail of their day-to-day life, it's giving codependent energy, typically a red flag. People who don't hear you out, like actually hear you and listen to you, red flag. People who say things to hurt your feelings intentionally, major red flag. Like exploiting something that you've told someone in confidence and using it to poke you, red flag. Shitty people in their life, like say they're like in a friend group and every single one of their guy friends cheats on every girlfriend they have, like red flag. I feel like everyone has that one friend. Typically, like most guy groups I know have that one friend where you're like, oh, about this like one guy, or he needs to grow up or he needs to act this way or whatever. But people that are habitually just like not good people, very different scenario. Other red flags, dead eyes. Y'all, Google narcissist dead eyes and you will see exactly what I mean. And I have dated a narcissist and it is scary. Like the eyes, there's just absolutely no one home. And when you see it, you can't unsee it. And so I feel like I almost want to encourage everybody to just Google like what a narcissist's dead eyes look like, because once you've seen it, you can't unsee it and you will be able to spot it a mile away in people. And I think it's a good party trick. You want to be able to avoid that for eternity, essentially. people who don't value you and put their own needs, wants, desires, accomplishments over yours. Like they never tell you that you're doing a good job or they're proud of you. They think everything that they do is more important than anything you are doing. People who don't respect you, I think that loving someone or quote, loving someone with an absence of trust and respect is going to be toxic always. So I think you have to have both of those elements, trust and respect. To me, those are kind of earned. You can go into it assuming the best about someone and giving them the benefit of the doubt, but that does need to grow. I think it grows over time, just like your love for someone should. I think anything healthy grows over time. Do you think about it like a plant? You have to water it. It needs sunlight. It's going to grow over time. Things that are like day one, I'm never going to live without you. I want you to have all of my babies. It's like, I met you 4 days ago, but I think in essence, at the same time, you should be able to see that with somebody if you're dating with intention and you want all those things. Of course, from the early stages, you need to be able to envision that with somebody, but then let the pieces fall in. If a guy is always you've been dating for 3 days and they immediately are saying all this crazy stuff to you, it might not be the best sign. Y'all, this is totally a side note. But I'm obsessed. This is not sponsored, but it should be Element. Email me. But these are the new salty, it's a sparkling electrolyte water. So y'all know I'm obsessed with those Element packets that I put in my drinks. This is actually so much better. It's a sparkling water. It's just already included in here. I just love it because I pop it in my fridge. It's super cold. I crack it. And if you're feeling dehydrated, Natalie told me this earlier, you can pull up your skin. Look at that. And if it stays there, you're dehydrated. It's that's how you can tell. You pull it up and if it stays there, you're dehydrated. I stay dehydrated. You guys know I'm trying to be a hydrated queen, but it is one of, can't win them all. I'm really trying, but this helps me. No sugar. It's not caffeine. It looks like an energy drink, but it's not. 1 carb, 0, everything else. This is a full-blown Element ad. It's not. I wish. I think that's kind of it. What are other red flags? Liars, cheaters, losers. Liars, cheaters, losers. Next. At the end of the day, if you feel the need to constantly question somebody, if they're out, if you're stressed out, listen to your body. Your body will give you all of the information that you need. All of the red flagness that you need lives inside of you. My queens, I promise. You'll be able to feel it. If a guy is doing something shady, you'll know. If you're worried, you'll know. Now, the caveat here is obviously if you have deep-seated insecurities and hardcore attachment, anxiety when it comes to attachment issues, go and work on that. I love you. Work on it. But if you don't, your body is probably telling you something not to trust the person. So cheaters, liars, losers, they're all out. It's 2024. And people will call you out on TikTok for being this way. I'm telling you guys, this is my last episode, but I fucking love the TikToks that are if you're dating Brad or you're married to Brad and you have 2 kids and he's in Clearwater, Florida it's always Florida. People go to Florida. But for real, stay safe out there, guys, because it's wild. I've been reading the reviews and the comments that you guys are leaving, and it's honestly so fun to catch up there and chat and see what you guys are thinking. And I actually read one the other day where someone requested, we love a request. I'm here for the girlies. Someone requested they wanted affirmations at the end of every episode. So why the fuck not? Let's do it. So I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just going to give it to you guys on the fly. Okay. Today's affirmation is just going to be, I am right where I need to be. Life is happening for me, not to me. Everything is good. I got this, and what is meant to be will be. So I get to sit back, kick back a little bit, just smile with my bubbly water and my feminine energy, and all the things that need to come to me will. I love you guys. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.